sort of a role model for ministry. And it was through his ministry over the years that I was able to answer the call of God to serve me. And so Pastor Billy and I had a relationship here way back when I was a student at Mouse. And his wife, Teo, was a teacher at Mouse. And without their constant influence, positive influence, also the teaching of the Bible, my desire to preach the gospel came by watching him. And it was through his ministry and his faithfulness in his ministry that sort of made me want to serve the Lord, made me want to be able to teach the gospel clearly. And so it was his influence when I went to Mouse. I was listening to him before I went to Mouse, but also came close to him as I was a student at Mouse, and God used him to really sort of confirm his calling in my life. And so I'm very, very grateful that I have the opportunity to bring you guys to come here and connect with him and be able to have him speak to you guys. And because he was a great mentor, and I respect him and I still do. And I'm glad that he's able to make this trip possible for him to come here and speak to you guys. So, he's also been has done so many things, not only in the church but also in the government. So if any of you guys have questions concerning anything, I'm sure he'll find himself for it, and you guys will appreciate it. And so I will have him introduce himself, and then
Right. Okay. Well, thank you. And welcome to Palau, and welcome to this New Valley Evangelical Church, Deacon Gorio. I called him yesterday after I talked to Pastor Emmanuel, and I asked him to come and open the church on Friday so we can come here. And Pastor, I ask you, rather than come and visit me and see me in SR, I thought, since there is the question about missionaries and how Palau Evangelical Church began, this is the place. So why not come here and talk to you? We can go out there. I'll show you the first footprints of the first missionaries that came in 1929, many years ago. None of us were born. And we can go here, and I'll show you the grave, the sacrifice that was paid. And there's a missionary lady there, and 2 children are buried here a long time ago while they were here in Palau. So welcome to Palau, welcome to Niwal, and thank you for coming. First few questions. I do this to this group, but first I assume from what you're saying that all of you are Palauans. Huh? Okay? Palauans, you are not born in Palau, therefore you are a Palauan citizen. You have to have blood. Okay? So I know his wife, Julie. Now, she's not the reason why you guys are Palauans. He is. No matter how far and how thin, you have to have that. But I also know that you are U.S. citizens by the fact that you are born in Guam. And your father, are you a U.S. citizen now? No. He and I cannot. We can have children born in U.S. and they are U.S. citizens, but we ourselves cannot become U.S. citizens. So that's a very special thing that Palauans have with U.S. We can go and be born there and live there and work there and spend the rest of our lifetime as U.S. citizens, and it's Palau that made the change. It's not the U.S. The U.S. was always okay for bilateral, but we were the ones that said no. And then later on we changed it so that if you're born and they claim you, so long as you have a blood in you from one or both of your parents, then you can be Palauan citizen, which is a very unique citizenship in the world. So anyway, so Pastor Andrew, maybe I can quickly run through a brief history of our church. And then I was a Minister of Education for 8 years. I was a Chief of Staff to President Kamil Marsal for 8 years. And then we left office because he couldn't be president. And then he called me back, and I became Minister of State and a compact negotiator. And then he wanted me to, but in 2017 I told him, please allow me to go. I've served you well, I've served my country, I appreciate you, but you can have a few more years, because he's the only president of Palau that has served 2 consecutive 8-year terms. In the Constitution of Palau, it says, like US, you can be president consecutively for 2 terms, 4, 4, 8. And Tommy was president for 8 years. I was Chief of Staff for 8 years. We took off for 4 years. I went on church, and he became a senator. And 4 years later, he ran again. And the Palan people elected him, so he served, and then another election, so a total of 16 years as president. But he has almost 30 years of government service, so I was a part of that. But anyway, you probably have heard from your pastor and your father that churches all over the world have some beginning or where they start, and sometimes it's not clear who did what and what, but at some point it's clear who was there, what they did, and many times some of the stuff that were written are lost because of war, typhoon, stuff like that, because, for example, I have personal records that I got from Guam. Okay? But my friends who had those information from Pastor Fai also, they lost them in '62 when the typhoon came. They don't have any shred. It's all gone, including church records and stuff. So I'll go through what I know, what I have, and then you can ask questions. Okay? So it was in the year 1929. Like I said, none of us were born at that time. And there's a mission board, Liebenzell Mission of Germany. They have an office in south part of Germany, and they send missionaries to different parts of the world. Papua New Guinea, Africa, South America, so on, and then Micronesia. Okay? They never send missionaries to the Marshalls or Panapay. Only Chuk and Palau and Yap. Okay? And so, in 1929, this man named Herr Lenge, or Pastor Wilhelm Lenge, he was already a missionary in Chuk, the truck at that time, in the outer islands, the Murtla. And the mission sent him a cable saying, you pack your stuff and go to Palau. That's all. There was no explanation why. They didn't explain. It's a telegram. At that time, you type shit, boom, send. You send the shit, say, pack your stuff, go to the island of Palau. They did not know where Palau is. They don't know anybody here. But they looked at the map and they said, okay, we go to Palau. So they packed their stuff, arriving in Palau in June 29, 1929, and they arrived in Koror. At that time, the Japanese people, government, were in charge of Palau. They were here. You know, in Palau there are foreigners that came. The British came in 1700, just explored and so on. The Germans came, then the Japanese came, and they were here when the first missionary came, Japanese people. So they arrived in Malacca, Wilhelm Lenge and his wife. The Japanese police officers and people who were in charge of the government at the time asked them 2 questions. Why did you come? Okay? And when are you leaving? Well, welcome. Why did you come and when are you leaving? It's easy for you to remember. And Missionary Lenge said, I knew the answer to the first question, but not the second. I knew we came here to preach the gospel, so on, but when are we leaving? I don't know. So then the Japanese took him in his diary. He rented a small Japanese house in Koror, and he stayed there with his wife. They prayed every day and figured out what are they going to do now. So one of the things they do is he took a boat around Babalao and wondering where we should settle, where we should stay, where we should reach. But first of all, where are we going to live? Because they're renting a house that belongs to a Japanese military force. Room, it's a section of the house. And when he traveled around, he came also to this village. And the chief of this village saw him and said, I ask you, as you go around, please come here. He didn't ask the chief, I want to come here. He was just looking. But Chief Wong Yuan asked, why don't you come here and build your house, stay here, and start your work. So that's what happened. Came here, went to Koror, talked to the mission and so on, and they came here. They built a house over there, right there. When they go out, you will see the tank, the cement. That was their water tank. And then those stones on the side, that was their house, their home. Very small, just from here there. And they lived here. German people, German man and his wife living in this place. There was nobody here. The village was there. They came and stayed there. They call this place Royce, or a mountain. And he sat over there. He and his wife prayed, and they asked the people to come and help. They built a house there. That was all. And he was to be here preaching and doing God's work for many years. But we just kind of fast forward, or that he was here. Now, in his diary, he writes that he just went. The people here spoke Palawan, he spoke only German. And he has learned some Chuk people. He also doesn't know Japanese, and the Japanese doesn't know German. They were here. But it's very important, Andrew, that when Lenge came here, he brought two men from Chuk. Okay? One is Noah and August. August, they're older men. August is a carpenter. And Noah was a good Christian. He brought them from Chuk here. One carpenter and one somebody that can fetch food and cook food. Because in Chuk, the men climb to get the breadfruit, and you girls, you go fishing. So he brought those two guys here. And so August came and they prayed. They asked Palalmen to come and help figure out where they should put the house on this hill. But anyway, then they start the work, first learning the language, very hard thing to figure out how to speak Palawan. Invited some young girls to come here, and through this and this, they said the best way, as they've learned from other missionaries, is to involve them. How involve them? So they taught them how to cook food, Western style food, and she taught them how to sew clothes. So very soon, they had a contact with girls who would come here daily and say, go home. And news travel like that. But they aim and pray for them and say, this is how we're going to do it. So I just mentioned that one. Now, like I said, there were the only two missionaries here, German, and that's all. Nothing really obstacle, no physical threat and so on, but the enemy is always at work. And so they pray every day and did what they could do and so on. But missionary Lenge was he's over 6 feet tall, strong, and he wanted to walk to other places this way, and also meet other people and other villages. That also, he was just trying to look to see how he can learn the Palawan language and so on. Now, I should quickly forward because we don't have much time with you. But he was one thing. He was assured that the Lord called him here to Palau for church. Secondly, he and his wife knew why they were here. The primary reason they were here is to tell people about Jesus and make them believers of Jesus, baptize them, and build a church, a Christian, a group of believers. So that was always on the mindset and so on, always on their prayer 3 times a day, 4 times a day. When they talk to people, they told them why we're here. They told them, would you let us talk to you about Jesus and so on. So it was a very basic type of stuff, but the Lord blessed them, so on. And he went to Koror and brought all this stuff here, so on. Now, there is Andrew, we quickly should go. His wife, they had a daughter. Her name is Esther. Born here. But she died soon after. You can imagine, this is 1930, so on. You can imagine the health situation here, so on. Japanese, there's nothing here. There's no nurse, there's no hospital, there's nothing here. You have to go to Koror, and what was there was Japanese lab, and so anyway, the daughter, the pastor died. She's buried over there. So on. Now, sometimes back, his wife, her name is Margarete. She also got very sick because, as you can imagine, traffic and stuff are not good. So Pastor Lenge, missionary Lenge, took her and board the ship to go to Japan for medical assistance. On the way to Japan, before arrival, she passed away. She died on board the ship. Japanese told him, we have to throw, you can pray us up, we have to throw the body into the ocean because we cannot carry on the trip with a dead person on board. He prayed, and he told the Japanese, no, I will lock my door, I will stay there and not come out with the body of my wife until we reach Japan. They were not able to stop him, so that's what happened. Imagine Pastor Andrew. He's alone, there's no communication, he cannot talk, and he is sitting in the ship room with his dead wife. So they arrived in Yokohama, Japan. He went and learned German. These are all Japanese. He figured it out, and he went and bought a property and buried his wife in Japan. Her grave is there, Yokohama, Japan. And then he caught the next ship to Germany. And went to Germany. When he went to Germany, he was there for a long time. He took a pastorate in the little church. He got married. Okay? He got married, and then he had a son named Theodore. But that's later on after he went back. But first of all, he's a missionary. He is widowed. He goes back to Germany, and he spent some time there. He married his wife, Louise. Okay? And then he took Louise to Palau. Louise is his second wife. She's the one that buried. Okay? She died giving birth to the child. Louise, that's his second wife. Okay. So those grave over there, one is for his wife Louise, and one for that child, and then one for the first child with the first wife who is buried in Japan. I hope I met myself.
Yeah.
You can ask questions. So this is very precious ground. As people come, they come here and hear the story about this man, and then I think Harry came back here in 1970 some, and he came here. The whole village went out to the village, and they all became quiet. And they said, "This is the man that was here." So it's a very emotional but very special story. And then they were here. Now, his Luisa, his second wife, had children while here in Palau that survived. But when but when she had that child and she died with the child, buried here, in the story it says, since Herlange or Pastor Herlange or missionary was not able to stay in the field as a widow missionary with children. So decision was made to return to Germany. So his term as a missionary here in Palau came to the end. Because there were children, his youngest child, Hannelore, was 10 months old when he died. So I don't know how to figure out, because it looks like she was too small and then she was already pregnant, and I don't know what, but she died. So here's a missionary man with small children. So they asked Sister Rittmann, a German missionary, I think she was stationed in Chuk. They asked her to come and accompany missionary Lenge and bring his family to Germany. So that was it. They left Palau, went back to Germany, they're all there. Then of course our fast forward history, World War II took place. Okay? World War II took place. Now, when the war between Japan and US here in Palau, it was very clear that the war was coming. Japanese government fortified the island here, 1938 on, and United Nations knew it was just a matter of time. And that's when they bombed Pearl Harbor, and that brought in World War II into the Pacific. So, at that time, all missionaries in Palau had to leave. Missionaries had to leave Palau. So all the missionaries went out Palau to their places, and then when the war broke out, except, Pastor Fai, Wilhelm Fai, and his wife, Hannah Fai. Now, they were the second ministers came, and they went to Naralong and stayed there. So the first three missionaries, one was here, was in Naralong, and Zimmer was in Koror. They strategically placed these people. And Pastor Fai came to Palau in a very unique situation. At that time, you don't get married and go to the mission field. You come here as a single, and then they send your wife. So Fai came here, and later on they sent his wife on the ship here. But this is not somebody that you have dated and come to know about. No. You meet her when she comes for the first time. And that's your wife. I hope you don't ask me two questions about it. So, we went to Koror. Then they got, I think they got married in Koror. Helen went there. Because Fai came here and stayed with Lenge here. It's a single guy. And she stayed in Koror with the missionary in Koror, Zimmer. Then they went to Koror and had a wedding. And then they got on the boat and went to Naralong and stayed there. Went through the war. During the war, they went with the people on Naralong, escaped to Marar when the war broke out. After a while, the Japanese went and basically arrested him, took him to Matbang, and imprisoned him, he and his wife. There were 6 or 7 Americans who were also there. They had come on a plane, and the plane was shut down on the Bay of Koror. They took them there. They were prisoners. There were also Capuchin priests who were also rounded up and taken to. So, Catholic priests, American soldiers, and German missionaries. They stayed there. And the story goes, I will not go to the details there, but in the end, the Japanese soldiers, they kill all the missionaries of the Catholic Church, and they kill all the Americans. Phi and his wife were not killed. The answer is why. We don't know the real answer. That they survived there, and the war ended. He went to Koror, took deacons, went to Peleliu, got the materials, and came to what is Emmaus High School today, and they built the school for boys. Because 7 years before the war, all education matter has stopped. And of course, it was only Japanese allowing certain allowance to occasionally. So Phi got a vision to start with the school, but only for boys. Because the war has ended. Unlike Europe, the United States had they had a master plan for restoration in Europe. But in the Pacific, no such plan existed. So they assigned these islands to the trust territory of the Pacific Island under the United States government because they won the war. Palau was one of the districts. Yap, Chuk, Panapay, Osray, and Amau. So then Phi took the Christians and deacons to Peleliu and took the materials that were left behind by the American soldiers, the Marines and the Navy, and these were good wood products and tin. You know the thing all like this, the tin, how Americans, they just go and build like that, and then, or Japanese, and then they bury the ground and then you don't know what's there. They took that kind of stuff and straight away they came. They built the original Emmaus Boys School, 1948. 3 years after the war, they already started school. But the people that went to school were young men, not teenagers. They were 19, 20, 21, 22, because there has been no school for over 5 years. So they're the ones that were allowed to go to school. Okay? So, and some of these, you know, the people that went to school is like Adol Binira Tereka of Naralong, Tuti of Naralong, and well, these are the people that went to that school. I don't know if they were first class or second class, but they went to that school. The school began very strangely. You get one batch of students, they go there and stay and learn for 3 years. Nobody comes in. So one class stays there 3 years, graduate, then you make the next batch. So very few classes went, because every 3 years, students are allowed to come. Very, very unique. And of course in Germany, they were all doing things separately. They had a boys' school and girls' school, so why did they just take the boys? Later on in Britannia, 1955, then they started a school for girls at the request of Palau people. So that's a quick story of Kuartei. And then fast forward, the American missionaries came because now these islands are under the United States of America. Germans were not allowed to come. The missionaries that left could not come because Germany and Japan had a pact. So after the war, the American church and no Germans were allowed to come. They asked because people left. They were already here, missionaries, and they left. So then they agreed, and somehow the United States government required them to go to Livingston, USA. There was a place there. They go there, learn English, and learn the Constitution. But here's the main thing. They have to renounce their German citizenship. They have to agree to become what? U.S. citizens. Then they will arrive. Yes, Sister Royman, the Lengming, they all went to Nyack Missionary College in New York. But there's a day that they would go and say, I agree to give my citizenship, German, no longer. And I become U.S. citizen So that, Andrew, sometimes we talk about the death and so on, but that's also a real sacrifice. When I go to Germany, Sister Rahman was still alive and she said, "Oh, Pastor Bill, I'm a foreigner in Germany. I was born here, we have people here, but I'm not a German citizen because of Palau. Therefore, I want to be a Palau citizen. I want to live in Palau until I die." But the Mission Society, of course, would not allow it. But that's the group, not five, but that's the group that wanted to come, have to be a U.S. citizen. So that is also a very big sacrifice. Also very, very, here you are strong, you are alive, and you stand. And you say, "I swear that I will not press anybody's heart, but that I'm no longer a German citizen." Then you also swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and from now on you become a U.S. citizen. The Sister Roman came here, went back to Guam, and they took her to the office, make the papers, and give her the U.S. passport, and take the German passport. No more. You are not German. You are a U.S. citizen. Then you can go to Palau and work at the Tanya and be a missionary. So there are many sacrifices, and of course, when was the last Gospel Day? Palau Angelical Church, Pastor Andrew is now over 90 years old. It was 1929. So next Gospel Day celebration will probably be 2024, and then 6 years after, Palau Angelical Church will be 100 years old. Now you have pastors who are Palauan. You have people who run the school, these are Palauan. You have deacons who are Palauan, and they run the church of Palau as Palauan. Now, we're from Guam. Palau Angelical Church also has a Palau Angelical Church in Yap and in Guam. The name of your church is still what? Of Guam. Then we also have a Palau Angelical Church of Saipan. Okay, those. So Palau first sent missionaries to Yap. Germany did not send missionaries to Yap. They did later on, but it was the Palauan, Andrew. You mark that, you teach that. It was Palauans. Johannes Aigasil and Iram Dalma, they went to Yap before Liebenzell sent missionaries.
That's Deacon Elias'
Father. Deacon Elias' father. Elias went with him and lived with him. And Sadaria, Theodore's wife, she went with her parents, Aigasil and his wife, they went to Yap as missionaries of Palau and Germany. Now we have Deacon Koto and Makrina, they are missionaries to Papua, but as you know, Papua had a very bad experience politically. Every missionary had to go out, so our missionaries are here. They work in Angkau, cannot go back to Indonesia because of what Governor of Indonesia is doing to the Papua citizens in Papua. That's Papua, Indonesia, not Papua New Guinea. That's Papua, Indonesia. So,
Ignacio.
Abalela Ignacio, he died a few years, when? 2014. He's a Palawan who became a very leader. He was a deacon, missionary, became a pastor. And he and his family own the plot here.
Oh, okay.
So their forefathers, so they are the ones that says go here. Because the church was built over there long time ago. And then let's say this is the guy that's the head of our family. And he said, I have given this place to the missionaries. Pastor Billy, you, don't you ever change. After many years he died, one of us went and did a very bad thing. We asked the church to leave. And it became very hard to have a witness here when these people, he's a member of the Catholic Church, but Pastor Gaptot, Tomol, all their people were members of our church. Then later on, farther, their children's children want to kick us out. It was a small plot, but very important. It was the first church established in Palau. So then his family says, let's go. I remember, Kaptot and I, Ole, we made the last door of that church. Last door. I preached over there. You know Pastor Sway? He accepted Christ as his Savior in that church.
Oh, okay.
He's from Narlo. He's a pastor today. So a lot of history, but we came here. We have used it until today. There's no problem. But legally, they are requiring all kinds of stuff. So the Attorney General's office required that all property of the Palau Evangelical Niwal be consolidated and be listed. Right now, they own it. So, we're here. And we're trying to put a border. I said, we border there and there over there, and you keep that one on it, and we take all this to the border.
Yeah.
Okay, to be permanently owned by the Christian of this place. Right now, we have perpetual use, but who knows?
Yeah.
The enemy is always at work. After many years, my own Andrew is my own son, and he will come and say, "That's what my father said then, but now I'm in charge." You listen to me. So this is the
Second wife.
this is the second wife, Louise.
Louise.
Louise. And this, they made them kind of crude long time ago. So they came here and put on the order and just they just cemented here and put these two crosses. So I'm in negotiation with them to take this property, and I'm telling them that once it's done, we will make them nice.
Yeah.
So when people come, I tell you, and you were able to come and see this.
Yeah.
It's already, we have to change it to something like that.
So did you say that the first child is the daughter of Margaret?
Yeah, daughter, Margaret is the name of the wife.
The wife,
And Lenge is the
the
husband.
husband,
And their first child died.
died.
He's buried here. But later on, he married again, Germany, and came back.
Okay.
Okay? And that's the lady she married, and this
Lucy.
is her daughter.
Okay. So,
See, so,
he buried two wives and two daughters.
yes, one wife in
Japan.
Japan. Okay? She is the mother of.
Yeah, one of them.
And then he came here with the second wife, and after giving birth, she dies with the child.
With the child.
So they buried here.
Oh,
Her name is this one,
Louise.
Louise Lange.
Lange.
Yes, that's the.
Very
So
good.
we try, because can you imagine if they were buried over there and we lose our property?
Yeah. It's not.
So we're really thinking, Ignacio, please. So we ask the children of Ignacio, this is not proper. And they agreed to bury their father.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that brought us here, and he's buried here.
Yeah.
So Pastor Tito and Ignacio, you children, and you, his nephew, I'm talking to him. Please, under Almighty God, allow us to use this.
Yeah.
We will buy, we will do rent.
Yeah.
What, Andrew?
Yeah.
You know, you go to church along, Pastor Fai is
Yeah.
buried
Buried
over
there.
there.
Yeah.
If you come and tell me we have to move there, I will agree to move everything and ask you to move the grave of the missionary. You be the one to do it, not me. So,
Yeah.
you know, God is God. He knows everything.
Yeah.
But we are also need to be smart, like
Yes.
a serpent. We need to be smart when we do the Lord's work. We say, no, Lord, we just throw the dice into the air, wherever fall. No, that's you believe, you pray, and you answer, receive its answer. When you do, you take action.
Yeah.
So yes, these are the Rudnik. See, that's the name.
Rutnik.
Yeah. First daughter of the first wife,
Yeah.
second wife,
Yeah.
and daughter.
Daughter. Yeah. That's very good.
Yes.
Very, very good.
Many, not so many years ago, Hannelore. The name is Hannelore. She's the one that was 10 months old when her father went to Germany.
Oh, okay.
Very, very extra bright lady. She went and lived with her father, and they returned. Now, he married another person, and then had a son named Theodore. Lydia told me this. And then Theodore died, And Hannelore cried like because that's her brother. And that's when the father Lenge told her, no, you are not the child of this wife of mine. Your mother is
Oh.
in Palau. You know what? She got it. She speak English and German, and get it straight and walk out of the house, and they build a wall this wide.
Mm.
She went away angry, and then she said, "What kind of a man takes his wife, go to a small island in the Pacific, and build a house in the forest, so that when his wife delivers, there's no medical aid, so she gives birth and die.
Mm.
What kind of a man?"
Oh.
And her father, had no answer. So they built a wall. She went to Tübingen University, or that's one of the top university in Germany. But professors are liberal. But anyway, she got mad. Then she had an opportunity to go to America, and she really had an unmovable anger toward
Bitterness.
the bitterness to her father. While she was there, she told a friend, I must go to Palau someday. I must go to Palau. So the friend said to her, you know, Hannelore, it's easier to go from America to Palau, visa-wise and so on, than to go to Germany and get a visa to Palau. So yeah, she checked, and that was true. So she came to Palau from United States, and she didn't tell anybody. She came on a secret mission, disguised herself,
Yeah.
went to the hotel, Nikko Hotel, and stayed there, and kind of a tourist, and asked around, you know, how do you get a boat to this place? So Francis Toribio said, okay, we have a boat, girl, but we're not going to Niwal. We're going to Ngarar. Okay, drop me there. So they took her there, and Ngarar people said, Kaga, where? I want to go to Niwal. This is not Niwal. I know, but so they brought her here. And she went to the dock with her stuff, and they asked her, who are you? Like, what do you want? He says, I'm looking for a lady named Esuroy. Esuroy is the wife of a missionary Lucas Giraros,
Yeah, yeah.
the Mala Rahel. And they said, oh, her house is over there. Can you take me to her house? So you're over there, and he says, can you speak to her? Ask her, I'm a tourist, and I'm doing a documentation on Germans who were in Palau. Can I stay in one of the rooms and rent? Asa, you know, she was by herself. All kids are in college. So she said, oh, but my house is there. No, 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 no. This is the house that I want.
Uh-huh.
So brought him in. Asked, ay, kung nga pa namin, fix something to eat. And that evening, she told, tomorrow I want to go and,
Visit.
because she has all the maps and all the
Yeah.
stuff and all the corners. She said, oh no, I was just said, no, I can find it myself. I already have a map of this place from her father's record.
Oh.
So Esure said, okay, but you come back before sundown because she's by herself. So she came on this road, came here, and came to this place and read this and sat down here and cried until the sun went down. And again,
Anger.
the anger just built up. My father, my own father is a kind of a man who takes my mother to come here. No electricity, no nothing, no doctors, nothing. So if you have a liver and you have a problem, that's it. Then she went there and talked to her. And there's a translator. And Esroy had a picture said, of the father and the children that were born before her, three.
Oh.
And then it says here, says Hannelore, but missing.
Uh-huh.
There's no picture.
There's no
There's no picture of her. So she says, how can I see that picture? It's really her father, the first children, but her, and she says, Dibus, there's no picture here. You are not in this picture. Alec, that was just
Even,
tip of,
yeah.
oh, she turned over.
Yeah.
And she said, couldn't hold it anymore. So she says, and hug her and says, I am Hannelore. So I'm almost shocked to that. He says, what? And God, no, I am Hannelore, but my picture's not there. That's me. Hannelore, that's me. So that stop talking. Slow down. They don't have loose hair. If you comb your hair like this, and your wife or a missionary, there's only prostitutes do that. So they have a head, and they did that, and then look at her, and she screamed, that's the wife of her. That's her.
Oh, looks like her.
And I took her to Koror, and she did the same thing to Tasco. Tasco was one of the students here, learning how to cook and sew.
Yeah.
So we went there, and I said, Lirado is a photographer and journalist looking for German stories about German. Oh, she's a runner mouth,
Yeah.
So she starts, and she said, what about this Helen? Oh, I want, and start yakking. So then she closed and said, Pastor V, I want her to describe how the mother looks like. What is it? So, Pastor, this and this. Was she nice? 2 hours. And he said, so what does she look like? Then Tasco looked at her and said, yes, a German nose like, German nose, like yours. But. So then she did it again. She opened her hair, let it all go down here. Then she did it the German way and put it up. Pastor Villa, I'm going to look this way. Then turn around, and Tasco screamed again because it was just like she saw
her.
this day. Look, Pastor, exactly the same. Hannelore, yeah, because she was 10 months when she left. And Tasco began to cry and speak in uncontrollable language. I said, Tasco, please don't speak in tongues. We are. And then we went through. But what a story. I took her to SR, show her, because here, and she went home and submit this to God under my prayer and request, and then they made up the relationship.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
What a story. And then she recommitted her life
to the Lord.
She had a degree. She's a doctor in Tübingen University. And she committed her life and faith to the Lord Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And I said, there was a sacrifice paid. There was a reason, Hannelore.
Yeah.
I said, but we are Germans. I said, Germans are God's people too. And she wrote and said, the thing that was weighing my life is gone because of the love and grace of God. So they made a peace back before
That's good.
Lenge died.
Pass away, yeah.
If you were to die, what would you die for?
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Nothing on earth matters. The whole world, Jesus said, what does you can gain the whole world and it will not be the worth of one soul. That's not just Peter and all.
Yeah.
That's for every street on any guy on the street. Just one soul is worth more than all the wealth put together. And when we read individual like this is what they understood.
Yeah.
So
That's
good.
That's why they make the commitment to come.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.